Exactly 2 years ago, I uploaded my very first video, and today I'm finally doing the sequel, finishing off the Splatoon Challenge Run series in the most confusing order possible, and asking for the last time, how many times do you need to move the camera to be the Octo expansion of Splatoon 2? This is by far the hardest challenge run I've ever done. Let's go. Same as the last 3 games, moving the camera counts as either moving the right joystick or pressing the Y button, and all motion controls have to be turned off. So, this game we're giving our new protagonist of Agent 8 a really hard time doing many underground deadly test chambers, all without a neck, but Splatoon 2 has one secret feature that makes it much easier. When you walk around, the camera will automatically rotate to face where you are looking, and you can even rotate on the spot, because it doesn't move when you're shooting the gun, so you can move to the right, shoot the gun and move back to the left, and repeat to very slowly move the camera without moving the camera. However, this only works with horizontal rotation. To look upwards, I will have to move the camera with the stick. To prevent confusion, rotating the camera does not increase the counter, but moving the right joystick does. And because this game has many levels that will take multiple attempts to complete, I'm doing this multi-segment. If you die or restart a level, we're pretending that counts as going back in time to before you died. One more rule that I've been following but forgot to mention in previous videos, if you move the camera without shooting, you are allowed to move it again. This just means you can adjust without having to restart the whole level. Cool. Let's begin. Wait just 1 second, you weren't thinking of starting the real video yet, were you? No! It's time to plan! The Octo expansion is not a normal Splatoon game. The entire level system is a group of subway stations on this map. And to beat the game, you can go any way through the 80 stations to collect the 4 Thangs at the Thang stations, but the stations aren't all easy. There are some that just require moving the camera, and some that are just downright impossible, like this one, the 06/CO1. I did try to attempt it, but there's no way these levels are going to be completed without some crazy super high camera movement count and many hours trying to beat it. So I created a planned route to go through that avoids all the quote-unquote impossible stations. Oh. Wait, we can't get to Thang 4. Because every path to the final Thang is blocked by an impossible station, it looks like we're spending many hours and a very high camera movement count. But we'll get to that later. For now, let's finally begin the run, shall we? Oh wait, but one more thing. I will not be talking about the levels in the order that I did them, because I didn't do them in any order. I would constantly run out of CQ points and have to stop doing a level, go try a different one. I also skipped a few levels temporarily and then came back to them later, and overall just all over the place. Also, most levels in this game aren't that hard to beat without moving the camera, like they can just be beat either the normal way or the differences are so small it doesn't matter. So for all these levels, I just won't mention them. Now let's begin. The tutorial area and first level are really simple and easy, as they should be. I mostly use them as a way to get back into the hang of playing without the right stick. The very next level's the first problem I ran into. Near the end of AO6, you need to move the camera down to hit a fan that moves the platform forward. While you can rotate the gun left to right, the fan is too far down, and unfortunately we'll have to play this entire game without ever understanding the concept of looking in the third dimension. One camera movement. You know that camera rotating superpower that I have that I was just talking about a couple minutes ago? Yeah, when in an inkjet it completely goes away. I guess wearing a jetpack causes your neck to break even more. This means that there are some tricky jumps in AO7, but it will reset horizontally if you die and continue. And then at the end, the grappling is too high up. So far, 2 camera movements for 3 levels isn't looking that good. In an 8-ball station, you can only move the ball in the direction you fire, which is the direction you're looking. But you can at least go under it and turn into an octoling to launch it a tiny bit. These 8-ball levels aren't that easy, but possible for the most part. Welcome to the level known as FO4/CO5. You have to throw bombs to make these fellas fall over, revealing the way forward. This level is fine until the end, where you need to throw a bomb on top of this fella to open the way, but it's too high up and looks completely impossible. And it is, but I was determined that there was a way to jump on top of the fella and shoot it with the gun. You can't jump on him normally, but if you time it right, exactly 7 seconds after it stomps on the ground, then when it moves, you can just get up. Only problem is that there's no ground behind it. And I tried for so long, as well as climbing on the pole next to it, but nothing would work. One camera movement. FO7/C12. While I was lucky enough to not have to do Matchmaster, Match the Dog Station is still in my path. You have to shoot the boxes out to create a shape, but if you mess up once, like real life when you try to carve your dog out from under a pile of boxes with a gun, God Narwhal will explode you. This took a few tries to get the hang of it, but shooting down the boxes isn't actually that hard. There's a railing you can stand on and shoot the top boxes, and remember to be careful about the order you shoot them in. You might need the boxes to be able to get up to higher areas. FO5 is the fun don't stop. I don't know if this level would be described as fun. There are 50 balloons, technically no time limit, but the balloons only appear after shooting the previous bunch, and if you take too long, they disappear up in the air. This is much more challenging than normal because you can't shoot them while they're floating away. The best weapon is the blaster. It can shoot in a big orb explosion and hit things just out of direct reach. And when you hit a direct hit, the explosion only hits the one you hit, so sometimes it's better to intentionally miss so you can get multi-hits. Anyway, the level is impossible. One camera movement required to shoot this balloon, and then the rest of the level facing upwards is fine. And now you can pick up the first thing. 3 more to go. GO6/AO1 is our first grind rail level. These types of levels are really hard because you basically can't rotate the camera while grinding on a rail, but if you jump and move, you can just barely move your neck just a tad to one direction, although this does have the big risk of falling off. And at this level, because of how many things there are to shoot, it becomes very difficult with the strategy, especially because you can just fall off super easily. But I found out accidentally that these blocks where the balloonfish sit are solid, and you can stand on them. Then by rotating the camera very slowly over to the side, you can position it just how you want. Just be careful not to dodge roll, and to shoot while jumping back on the grind rail, or you'll be snapped back to the direction it's facing. With this strategy, you can just barely bumble somehow past the first half of the level, and the rest is simple enough. GO5 is an extremely difficult level. You have to shoot 20 moving targets with moving fail balloons all around the stage while on a moving platform. And all under 1 minute. I thought that the best weapon here is the jet squelcher. While the charger can shoot more targets because of its extended range, the squelcher can shoot faster and easier to control. Also remember that all fail balloons can survive one hit from a bomb, so throwing bombs down into the lower bit of the level is actually a good strategy. But then I started to realize that there just were not enough targets within range of the jet squelcher without looking up and down. So I started to use the charger, and with a lot of bomb throws and lucky shots, I finished the level. GO4/B10 starts off with an ink furler that looks almost entirely impossible to hit. I tried lots of things, shooting burst bombs, vertical roller flicks. I even started trying to ink furler glitch just to get a bit of extra height so I could vertical flick it. But in the end, the strategy that worked was simply using a curling bomb. I have no idea why. The ink is absolutely nowhere near it, so I'm saying I discovered a new glitch. Let's call it the bean bomb. The rest of the level would be easy, but now I have to use a roller. There's a tough bit where you have to hit an ink furler twice while on a moving grind rail, and the end has got a maze of floating ink furlers with a sniper killing you, and it ends with needing to do the bean bomb glitch again. Second thing down, 2 more to go. In B12, you have to shoot a bunch of Octarians in a not at all familiar pattern with Rollium. The enemies in the first phase could technically be hit here, but it's such a tight time pressure because you can only hit them on the lowest down place, and the last one is just too high up, meaning 1 camera movement. DO2 is 1-shot station. Thankfully, the bottom balloonfish is possible to be shot, meaning you can just do the speedrun method. HO1/DO3 says you need to make good use of both your subs and mains, and that's definitely true. The first few bits can be done with clever bomb throwing, but then we come to this. Way too high up to be hit from the ground, and just barely too high up to be hit on top of the ink furler. It might be possible by jumping when the ink furler extends, but I could not get it to work, and you definitely need to move the camera late in the level anyway, so I just moved it up and shot the ink further. Next is this balloon fish that can be hit in the wrong order, which means you just have to swim faster, and finally, there are 2 more that can be hit, but only if you move the camera to the exact correct position earlier, and if you didn't, you have to restart the whole level from the beginning. Same if you die, because the camera resets at checkpoints, but after doing all that, the level is possible with only 1 camera movement. HO3, all tower control levels are pretty difficult without being impossible, because it's nearly impossible to shoot the octolings while on a very small tower, so I just sat there amidst the chaos and hoped that it would be okay. HO5 is about as difficult as you'd expect a level with moving spreaders, drums, and a Hydra splatling to be. The start is a moving spreader that you have to climb up with a very risky technique of just shooting while on the wall, then the drum you mean to shoot is just out of your reach. I tried a few different things, but this simply requires 1 camera movement. Oh, but the drum moves when you shoot it. That's fine though, you can just throw a bomb to ink it more until it's possible to be shot from the ground. The rest of the level is possible. Here we are, picking up the second to last thing. The run is nearly done now, but if you remember at the start, I mentioned that it was impossible to get the 4th thing without going through at least 1 impossible station. Well, here we are. Looking at the options, the obvious one to pick is IO5/BO8. It gives you a direct path to the goal, and the level is actually possible without moving the camera. The downside? There's a difference between possible and easy. You have to shoot 30 boxes while on a moving grind rail. I already mentioned why grind rails are difficult, but this one is on a whole new level. Thankfully though, the boxes and bits of ground next to the rail you can actually stand on, which means you have little breathers where you can rotate the camera. Most of my time attempting this level was actually spent practicing, because did I mention that there are no checkpoints? You have to do the whole thing in 1 go. But after practicing a lot, I had come up with a plan. First jump on the rail to rotate the camera to be able to hit the first box, then jump on the platform where the power eggs are. You can stand here and use it to rotate around and shoot the other box. That will then spawn box number 3, which you can rotate back to hit it. Be careful and do a backwards jump onto the ground rail. The next couple boxes you can hit by just jumping and rotating the camera. Jump onto box number 7 and use it to rotate. Be careful when on top of a box, because you will very slowly move to the side and fall off. Shoot boxes 8 and 9, and then jump off to hit box number 7. The next difficult part is these 3 on top of each other and the exact midway point. The camera will most likely be in a weird spot, so jump, hit the top one, and stand on the other 2. Rotate around and jump off to shoot them both. Here's where it starts to get hard. Jump a big jump 3 times to set up the cycles for the next boxes to be facing you. If you miss one, which you probably will, jump on the big box and wait for the exact right time to do this epic jump, where you jump onto the grind rail, shoot the box, and then jump back up onto the big box. After getting the 2 moving ones, jump off and shoot the big one. Do the same strat as the midway boxes and jump onto this trio. Then rotate around to hit boxes 19, 20, and finally, jump off and hit the final few boxes and just hope that you will be okay. This one level took nearly 3 hours to complete, between practicing, figuring out how to shoot the boxes, and finally doing my real attempts. IO3/EO1. I thought this level would be fine. I thought it would be done. You can rotate the camera left and right by leaving, rotating around, and re-entering. But this is incredibly slow. The station needs you to change the camera a ton to shoot a lot of things flying its orb. While the first half is slow and fine, it gets chaotic with 20 seconds left, and you do definitely need to move the camera down to start. So I decided to change the route, going down the E line instead. While this does also require 1 camera movement, I'd much rather do it than 1 camera movement in this nonsense. But these levels aren't just super easy either. Here's the tough ones. GO9/BO5 looks pretty difficult because there's a switch on the ceiling, but the burst bomb's special rush thing can hit if you jump from the railing. You just have to go back and forth between the special and the switch a lot. EO6, this station you need to get 3 8 balls in a line. Like noughts and crosses, but you're playing by yourself, and it's sad and lonely. While it looks as the same problem as IO3/EO1, the turret being too high up to hit anything, this time it's not the case, because when you first enter a turret, the little aiming icon will jiggle up and down a bit, But this isn't just a visual thing. When you fire a shot just after entering the cannon, it will fire a little bit further up or further down. It's difficult to do, and it is based on luck, but once you get the ball up, you can shoot it again just fine. With a bit of luck, this whole level is completed without moving the camera. EO4, an 8-ball station with a bamboozler. It's as difficult as it sounds. The problem with this one is that here, you're supposed to hit it when it's at the peak of its jump, but it's too high up. I tried this for a while before trying to jump from the top and hitting it with the burst bomb. The exact right timing is just after the ball goes past the ground you're standing on is when you should jump. And yes, Pearl, that was sick. The rest of the level is difficult, but not impossible. EO3. This is the level that you need to move the camera for, just a little bit at the start to hit this drum. Final thing is now under the belt, and we have completed every single thing, and finished the game. Nah, just kidding, 6 more incredibly difficult levels and 2 boss fights coming right up. Phases 1 and 2 don't have any trouble, but phase 3 is where it starts to get hard. In this phase you have to jump across platforms that are falling down very slowly. The first few sections are easy because you just need to go down, but then you need to go up a bit. And because all the platforms are constantly moving down, you have to go really quick. And rotating the camera takes ages, so you'll probably just die. But earlier in the level is our old hero, the Burst Bomb Rush. And if you use it correctly, you can ink the blocks much faster and save just barely enough time to get to the goal. And phase 4 is easy, no. Out of all the things in the game that our legendary protagonist would be beaten by, I was not expecting this little switch to be one of them. It is just barely out of reach when standing on the checkpoint. And I tried this for a while, but nothing was working, so add 1 more to the total. It's also just such a tiny little movement upwards. If this thing was 3mm lower, then I could have shot it. Anyway, the diaphragm phase is difficult because you can't move the camera while in an inkjet. But I found out that you can climb on a wall to rotate it, which helps. The final phase is the peristalsis phase. It's completely possible, just pretty hard. You can't move the camera to shoot the enemies, so I just barged through and hoped I would be alright. The last laser is impossible to turn off, but the orb can survive going through one at full health. And Agent 3 is Agent 3 is not easy for once. Somehow they are cheating and dodge rolling out of the way. Using a hero shot, they move just too quick for you to be able to react and rotate the camera. The first phase can be completed just by shooting them. They can't shoot back because they're in a curling bomb rush. The second phase is the baller. Try to shoot the baller to make a break. This will prevent a massive explosion and let you kill them. But you need to shoot them constantly as soon as they jump down. Phase 3 is easy because all you need to do is throw a couple bombs, but don't be so fast. Use this opportunity where they aren't shooting you, and use it to ink the ground for the 4th and most difficult phase, the splashdown rush. I have no plan. There's no way to make it easier, and with a bit of luck, after 30 minutes of trying to kill this fella, it's done. With everything in this DLC under my belt, there is just one more challenge between us and the end of this 2-year-long journey. NILS. NILS is usually the Dark Beast Ganon of Splatoon, just a quick little easy boss fight to come after the real one, but if you can't move the camera, it's so much more. The whole premise is that you're stuck on the statue, trying to run around shooting hyperbombs that spawn in annoying to shoot locations. Yet you can aim above and let the ink fall down to hit them. This only goes so far though. Every time you seem to solve one problem with how to hit this hyperbomb, there's another one even more difficult right around the corner. And not to mention that the last 10 you have to shoot while on our old enemy, the grind rail, but by far the hardest part is the 3-minute time limit. Not only do you have to shoot the bombs, you have to shoot them fast. But every single bomb in this boss fight can be shot without moving the camera a single time. Here's how. First, shoot all the ones on the chest. They are really easy and head up till the bombs will appear on the neck. Wait until they do and jump off to hit this one while falling. You can't hit this one from the ground, so throw a bomb. The floor is really uneven and difficult to land a bomb on without it rolling off, but if it explodes, move on to the next couple, which are all easy. Stand by where the next group of bombs will land on the statue's back. You can actually turn into a squid to clip your camera into the ground to see where the next bomb will land, giving you just barely more time. Rotate around and stand in this exact position to be able to hit the next bomb and move on to the third and jump off to be able to hit it and then land on the grind rail. Rotate to face the one below you and hold fire to hit it. The final one can be shot from this grate if you rotate around. If your time is around 1 minute and 35 seconds, you're making good time. Quickly climb up to this bit and wait for the bombs to get launched on the arm. Jump just before they land to be able to hit the first one while falling. There is no more waiting. From here on out, go as fast as possible. Jump back onto where you were before and climb up to the top of the arm. Shoot the top one and fall off into this place to hit another one. Use the wall to quickly rotate and shoot this one, and then rotate around to the middle of the grate, and aim around here. This will hopefully hit the last one on the arm, which is much further down. Climb up, throw a bomb into the grappling, and go onto the head. Thankfully, the grind rail is curved in the direction you usually want to move the camera, which makes it much easier to jump and rotate. Usually. The last challenge is this bomb down here. You have to be facing the exact right position to be able to hit it, but once you do, the rest is easy. And with that, the final boss is well and truly banished to the temporarily unreachable confines of Side Order. The Splatoon 2 Octo expansion challenge run without a neck is now finally completed. And with the total score tallied up, we did it with only 8 camera movements, and across the whole series, it's 23. So the full series is done. Wait a minute, a new game released today.